And a good Friday to everybody watching out there in YouTube land today. It is now time for the Scott Manning YouTube Weekend Sports Kickoff Show. Today, I am going to take you around the wide world of sports. I'm going to talk about what happened with the Lakers last night. Get you ready for a weekend of Major League Baseball. And we got some more NBA playoff action to get ready for. I'm also going to there's also a major story coming out of horse racing. I'm also going to talk about Coach K retiring. And I'm also going to be bringing you up to date on what happened last weekend in the world of motor racing. And get you ready for this weekend at Series Point for the NASCAR Cup Series. But first, we're going to take you around the wide world of sports. All right. Now, let's have some real fun this week. We have a lot to talk about here in the next half hour or so. We're going to just jump right into the show. I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to do a better job next week at the wide world of sports intro, I promise you. And I'm going to make it right. But let's go right out of the gate with some big news in the NBA. The Los Angeles Lakers have been sent packing. The Phoenix Suns knocked out the LA Lakers in 6 games last night, and they beat them in Game 6 after a one. And the Phoenix Suns beat the LA Lakers last night 113-100. Devin Booker, 47 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists. Jay Crowder, okay, what did he do last night? Oh, he only had 18 points, 8 rebounds, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. Mikal Bridges, give him some love this morning. On this day. 10 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals. Cameron Johnson, 10 big points off the bench, 2 assists, 2 steals. Devin Booker won that game last night, people. So, with that in mind, I am going to give him some love here this morning. And he has earned it. As for the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James, 29 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. He had to try to win the game all by himself last night. Dennis Schroeder, 20 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. That was it for him. Anthony Davis left the game 5 minutes in because of a groin injury. And this is what I have to say about that. Anthony Davis, I don't think he wanted to play last night. I really don't. He said he had a groin injury. I'm not sure about that. The jury's still out. But he did not return to the ball game. The Lakers having a first-round exit is a blessing for the NBA. Here's why. LeBron James does not know what a first-round exit is like. He does not know what a first-round exit means. Well, he's getting the feeling of that right now. And both teams who played in the NBA Finals last year are now out. The Heat got swept by Milwaukee, which was kind of a surprise to me. And now the Lakers are out. And the 2 teams that met in last year's NBA Finals were combined 2-8. That is a scary moment. And that's something to think about. Now, LeBron's out. Anthony Davis was no help whatsoever. It was just unbelievable. When I got word that the Lakers had been knocked out of the playoffs, I was like, oh, yes. I loved it. Now, who wins the NBA Finals now? A lot of people just say, I don't care. I'm happy that LA's out, that the Lakers are out. And that was a moment, and that was a wonderful moment last night. I shouldn't sound like this because of Anthony Davis's injury. But when you have hatred towards a team like the Lakers, you'll understand why. Now, the Phoenix Suns are moving on to the next round. We'll have to wait and see who they face there. However, I've not forgot about the other LA team, the LA Clippers. I'm going to deal with that later. But first things first, let's get started with the weekend kickoff. And how do you start it off? With two big series in Major League Baseball. The first big series of the weekend, the Boston Red Sox against the New York Yankees. That series starts tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Now, tonight, for the Red Sox, Nathan Eovaldi is going to be going against Michael King. Nathan Eovaldi of the Red Sox. He has a 6-2 record with a 4.01 ERA and 58 strikeouts on the season. Michael King. He only has 2 career starts, but he has 2 losses. He has an 0-2 record, but he has a 2.86 ERA and 20 strikeouts on this season. This one is going to be kind of an interesting one. We'll see how King does against a guy like Nathan Eovaldi. This is going to be a fun one. Saturday's matchup. Oh boy, you want a home run derby Saturday? You may have one. Eduardo Rodriguez. He has a 5-4 record with a 5.64 ERA, but he does have 58 strikeouts to his credit. Jameson Taillon. He will be going for the Yankees. He is only 1-4 on the season with a 5.10 ERA and 55 Ks. Oh boy, that is going to get ugly real fast. However, the Sunday matchup is the one I find very interesting. Don't ask me why, but it is what it is. The Sunday matchup. Garrett Richards. Don't know much about him, but he does have a 4-4 record. He has a 4-4 record with a 3.75 ERA and 52 Ks on the season. He will be facing Domingo Germain. He has a 4-3 record with a 3.27 ERA and 52 strikeouts on the season. That matchup, the Sunday matchup, that is going to be the Sunday night game on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. That's why I'm talking about the series. And it is the Yankees and the Red Sox, for crying out loud. The next question is, will we have a bench-clearing brawl? Personally, I want one. Personally, I would love to see some fireworks. And here lately, when you come out and clear the bench, it's like, hold me back, and it's a pushing match. I want to see some fists flying. Because you know the hatred that these two teams have. I've seen Lou Piniella trying to give somebody gave a Red Sox player a dislocated forearm. And that was Bill Lee. I saw that fight where Piniella and Bill Lee kind of got it on, and then Chris Shameless tried to throw a cheap shot at somebody. And of course, you see Mickey Rivers. He used to be in the middle too. But that was back in the old days. But anyway, I just had to throw that in for good measure. Now, it's not just the big bats for the Yankees that people need to pay attention to. And also, we got some big bats that were on both sides of the ball. For the Boston Red Sox, think about this. JD Martinez, what has he done so far? He has a 320 batting average with a 3.9 with a 391 on base percentage. 12 home runs, 39 RBIs, and 60 hits on the season. But he's got some great support too. Rafael Devers. He's hitting 278 right now with 14 home runs, 43 RBIs. And Xander Bogaerts. He's hitting 309 for crying out loud, people. 10 home runs, 31 RBIs on this season. But for the New York Yankees, this is going to be an interesting one. Aaron Judge. He has a 290 batting average, a 3.93 on-base percentage, 13 home runs, 30 RBIs, and 54 hits. He leads the category. He leads everything right now. But he does have awesome support in DJ LeMahieu, a 255 batting average despite the 3 home runs and the 14 RBIs. He's got an on-base percentage of .339. Giancarlo Stanton, the designated hitter, he has a .259 batting average, 9 home runs, 24 RBIs, and an OBP of .331. That's what I find intriguing about this matchup. I really do. That is what I find so very interesting. This is going to be a fun one. And the team ERAs are pretty close. The Boston Red Sox team ERA is 3.98. The New York Yankees, how about a 3.18 as a whole? And these pitching matchups are kind of good, but And the team batting average, right now, the Boston Red Sox as a whole, they're hitting .257. The New York Yankees, .227. This is going to be an interesting matchup. I'm looking forward to this. And it is the Red Sox and the Yankees. Need I say more? But I'm not going to right now. Let the games begin tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Now, let's head to the West Coast. The Chicago Cubs and the San Francisco Giants have a 4-game set. And I want to address last night's game before I move on. It's got to be addressed. Last night, the San Francisco Giants beat the Chicago Cubs 7-2 for the Chicago Cubs. And I mentioned in these 4 names because these 4 guys were the power hitters. Chris Bryant, he was 1 for 4 with a strikeout. Javier Baez, 0 for 4, struck out twice. Anthony Rizzo, 0 for 4. Wilson Contreras, 1 for 3. Think about this. Rizzo, Contreras, half the middle of the batting order, a combined 1 for 10. Ouch. That was a huge blow last night. But last night for the San Francisco Giants, there were 2 Giants that had big nights last night. Buster Posey, he was 2 for 5 with a run and a strikeout. Brandon Crawford, he had a heck of a night. 2 for 3, 2 runs, 4 RBIs, and a walk. And Anthony DeScafari gets the win. He only pitched 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, struck out 4, but he did give up a home run. And Jerriton Garcia, he got the hold last night. Pitched 2 innings, only gave up 1 hit, struck out 3. Nice. He gets my love this morning.
House of pleasure.
Zach Davies last night, not so much. And Zach Davies last night, he only pitched 4 1/3, gave up 8 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Now, that was last night. Here's what's going to happen tonight and for the rest of the weekend. Now, tonight for the Chicago Cubs, Jake Arrieta's going to get the start. He has a 5-5 record with a 4.41 ERA and 41 strikeouts. Now, who is Arrieta going to face tonight? Logan Webb. He has a 4-3 record with a 3.86 ERA, 54 Ks, and this is going to be an interesting matchup. This is tonight's matchup. The Saturday matchup, Cole Stewart's going to get the start for the Cubs. He has a 1-0 record with only 2 Ks on the season, but an ERA of 0.00. Don't know much about him, but he's going to get an introduction. He's facing Kevin Gausman, a 6-0 record with a 1.40 ERA and 83 strikeouts on the season. Oh, yikes. This is going to be an interesting one. The Sunday matchup. This is an interesting one. Kyle Hendricks. He has a 6-4 record with a 4.62 ERA and 51 strikeouts on this season. He will be facing Johnny Cueto, a 4-1 record with a 3.45 ERA, 36 Ks on the season. We're crying out loud. This is going to be an interesting one, everybody. I'm looking forward to it. And now, the hitting. And despite last night, the fact that the Cubs hitters were stone cold, I got some numbers. Chris Bryant, he did have a 3.17 bat. He has a 317 batting average with an on-base percentage of 398. 12 home runs, 36 RBIs, and he leads the team in hits with 60. There we go. Javier Baez. He has a .255 batting average with 14 home runs, 38 RBIs. Anthony Rizzo. He's hitting .275 with 5 home runs and 29 and 21 RBIs. Ugh. Wilson Contreras. He's hitting .248 right now, 9 home runs, 24 RBIs. This is going to be an interesting weekend. Now, for the San Francisco Giants, Mike Yastrzemski. He did not play last night. He's hitting .222 with 6 home runs, 15 RBIs, and he has an on-base percentage of 332. That's going to be an interesting one. Evan Longoria. He did not play last night. He has a .274 batting average with 9 home runs, 29 RBIs, and 43 hits. Brandon Crawford. He's hitting .247 with 11 home runs and 32 RBIs. Those numbers have changed since last night, I grant you. However, I forgot about the fact that the Cubs were playing the Giants on Thursday night. I did not realize there was a 4-game. I thought it was only a 3-game. And I did mess up at that, and I do apologize. However, if the Giants can sweep the Cubs, they can prove to everybody that they are the team to beat. And if you have stock, if you just bought some stock in the San Francisco Giants, this is what you guys are thinking here right now. All right. I am looking forward to these 2 weekend series in Major League Baseball. The Yankees and the Red Sox, and the Cubs, Giants, and the rest of this series. If the Cubs can get a split, hee-haw. But if the Giants get a sweep, they're going to be feeling this.
House of pleasure.
Now let's see how this goes the rest of the way. Okay. We got some NBA playoff news going on. We got some NBA playoffs to get ready for tonight. The Dallas Mavericks face the Los Angeles Clippers tonight at 9:30. It's a 9:30 start tonight on ESPN. They face off tonight at 9 o'clock on ESPN. But here, let's look back at Game 5 real quick. The Game 5 recap. Let's think about this. The Mavericks won last night. Luka Doncic had 42 points, 8 rebounds, 14 assists, and 1 steal. But he also did have some support, too, from Tim Hardaway Jr. 20 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal of the ball. That was impressive. But the Los Angeles Clippers had some big names, too. Paul George, 23 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks. Reggie Jackson. Not the Reggie Jackson who used to play for the New York Yankees and used to give Billy Martin fits. Don't forget. Reggie Jackson, 20 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. Kawhi Leonard, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Tonight, it's do or die for the Los Angeles Clippers. It's very simple. Mavericks win tonight. They're moving on to the next round. And I think they're probably going to face the Phoenix Suns in the next round. This is going to be interesting tonight, people. I'm actually looking forward to this tonight. All right. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that. All right. Now I got that out of my system. Now, tonight, it's do or die for the Los Angeles Clippers. If the Mavericks win tonight, they move on. If the Clippers win, we'll have a Game 7 on Sunday. And we're going to wait and see how that goes. But people, I'm going to tell you this. Right now, I don't care who wins the NBA Finals. The Lakers are out. I'm happy. I don't care who wins it now. However, at the end of the day, we got to crown an NBA world champion. But like I said, the Mavericks win, they're moving on. If the Clippers win, we have Game 7 on Sunday. It's a do-or-die situation. Paul George, Reggie Jackson, and Kawhi Leonard, they got to put up some bigger numbers because when you got Doncic putting up 42, you're not going to win. The Mavericks are tough, and that's all there is to it. And the bottom line is, may the best team win. And we don't know who that's going to be yet, but let the best team win. Let's get it on. All right. let's talk about a very interesting series that could mean a lot. The Brooklyn Nets will be facing the Milwaukee Bucks in the next round. The Brooklyn Nets just got through destroying the Boston Celtics in 5. And in all 3 of their games, and all 3 of the wins for the Brooklyn Nets, they scored over 120. They had a 14-point differential in this series. They just took care of the Boston Celtics just like that. And of course, you got the big 3. You got the big 3 for the Nets: Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. Kyrie Irving put it to his old team. Kyrie Irving took care of business. Kyrie Irving got the job done. And of course, he had major support from Harden and Durant. This is going to be fun to watch. Now, the Nets face the Milwaukee Bucks. And of course, you know the Bucks just took care of the Miami Heat. They just swept them right out of the building. And of course, they got their big man Giannis. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. I cannot pronounce it to save myself. I admit, it's a hard name to pronounce. Everybody, my Milwaukee viewers, my Milwaukee Bucks fans that are watching, I apologize, but I'm not even going to try. You have to kind of excuse me. However, at the end of the day, in this series, I got to go with the Brooklyn Nets. I got to go with the Brooklyn Nets. Let me wake up here. I got to go with the Brooklyn Nets in the next round, and here's why. The Nets took care of the Celtics. They scored over 120. You got Irving, Harden, and Durant. This is going to be very interesting to watch. And the truth of the matter is, no disrespect to Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks, but you guys are facing the big 3 in the Brooklyn Nets. And this is going to be something to think about at the end of the day. And that's the truth of the matter. All right. Let's move on. The other matchup in the NBA Eastern Conference, playoffs, the Philadelphia 76ers will face the Atlanta Hawks. Now, this one I'm going to find interesting for a couple of reasons. Number 1, the 76ers are going to be minus Joel Embiid because he is day-to-day due to an ankle injury. Now, the question is, can the 76ers survive without Joel Embiid? Well, right now, Joel Embiid was averaging 24 points per game. But can the 76ers survive without him? I think so. I think the 76ers may be in pretty good shape, and here's why. They got Tobias Harris, 25 points per game. Seth Curry, 15.8 points per game. And yes, they got Mr. Double-Double Ben Simmons, 14.8 points per game, 10.2 rebounds per game, and he almost averages a triple-double with 9.2 assists per game. That could be huge. The 76ers did take care of the Washington Wizards. Keep that in mind. I'm not answering that. And for the Atlanta Hawks, we just watched the Atlanta Hawks destroy the New York Knicks. We saw Trae Young get over the spitting incident at Madison Square Garden. He became MSG's bad guy. And think about this. Trae Young, he's been averaging 29.2 points per game. Bogdan Bogdanovic, he's been averaging 14.4 points per game. That's something to think about too. John Collins, don't forget about him. He's been averaging 12.2 points per game himself during the playoffs. And Clint Capella, okay, the guy only averages 10 points per game, but he does average a double-double per game. And this is going to be an interesting series. This is the one that's going to have everybody talking. Because I'll tell you right now, if Joel Embiid's day-to-day and he does not play, the 76ers are in pretty good shape. But the Atlanta Hawks have Trae Young. And Trae Young can shoot the ball. He can shoot from any which way possible. Think about what he did to the New York Knicks in the first round. Trae Young will have a field day if Joel Embiid's a no-go. Now, I grant you, the 76ers have a big 3 of their own, but they have the support. And so do the Atlanta Hawks. This is going to be an interesting series. If Embiid plays, give it to the 76ers. If Embiid's day-to-day, he doesn't play, you might want to think about the Atlanta Hawks pulling off an upset. Because you got Trae Young, he can get the job done. And you got a guy who can average a double-double per game. And yes, Young has support. And that's something to think about. That series starts on Sunday. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. And at the end of the day, the 76ers may be in great shape. Now, let's move on. Now, the NASCAR Cup Series. They're going to be a series. They're going to be out of Sonoma on the road course at Infineon Raceway. That's a 3 o'clock start on Fox, by the way, next Sunday. Last weekend, we watched Kyle Larson dominate and win the World 600 with Chase Elliott second, Kyle Busch third, William Byron fourth, Alex Bowman fifth. Now we're going road racing. And you know where all the road racing specialists come out to get a race win, to try to get the job done. This is going to be an interesting weekend. And my pick, I'm not going to give it to you just yet. But I'm going to be totally honest with you. Last weekend in the 600, we saw Kyle Larson dominate. He earned that victory, by the way, people. Led 327 of the 400 laps. He took the marathon race, NASCAR's longest endurance race. But this weekend is a road race. Totally different. We'll see how good all the road racing, how the so-called road racing specialists do on this weekend. Now there is no IndyCar action this weekend, but next weekend the IndyCars will be back in action on the streets of Belle Isle, and I think that week break may be a good thing for a lot of IndyCar fans, because a lot of those fans are still trying to come down from cloud 9 after watching Helio win number 4, winning his 4th Indianapolis 500. Right after the race, I will never forget this moment. Right after the checkered flag, I went right on Facebook and I was trying to type down the message. It's all over. Helio has done it. He has won his 4th Indianapolis 500. I was shaking. 2 laps to go. I was thinking, oh man, come on. I was literally going like that in the last couple of laps at Indianapolis. But what a race last Sunday at Indianapolis. The Indy cars are off this weekend. But I want to talk about Helio for a second. He was so nice to go into an Indianapolis neighborhood where a lot of his fans were. He walked the streets of Indianapolis in some of the neighborhoods and to thank the fans for supporting him. And old Spider-Man was back at the track. Helio set some records. Yes, he won his record-tying 4th Indianapolis 500. He also drove the field to the fastest 500 in history. And he set a new race record of 190.690 miles an hour. And a lot of people I think have overlooked this, but I haven't. Helio Castroneves is now the 3rd oldest driver ever to win in Indianapolis. Al Unser Sr. is the oldest, just 5 days short of his 48th birthday. Bobby Unser, the late Bobby Unser, won his 3rd 500 at age 47, back in 1981. Helio Castroneves is now the 3rd oldest driver at age 46, and now Gordon Johncock. Now Helio passed Gordy for 3rd all-time on that list. Gordy was only 45 when he won the 2nd 500 in 1982. A lot of records were broken last weekend in Indianapolis. What a moment it was when I saw Helio win number 4. I was like, oh, finally. And the love I got from some people after the finish was something to write home about. All right. We got to move on because we got 2 more big stories to talk about. The next story, I need to address this. Duke head coach Mike Krzyzewski has decided at the end of this season to retire from college basketball. It's the truth. He's going to coach this upcoming season, and after that, he's done. Coach K has announced he's retiring at the end of the upcoming season. He wants to do it because he wants to spend more time with his family. Now, what has old Coach K done? Let's see. 5 national championships, 12 Final Fours, 12 ACC regular season crowns, 15 ACC tournament titles. The greatest, and he's one of 6 coaches with 900 or more wins. Oh, by the way, did I also mention he has 3 Olympic gold medals, along with 2 FIBA world titles? This guy is a legend. Coach K was one of the greatest coaches of all time. And he was one of the best of the best. I've been loving Duke for so long, so I want to give Coach K some love.
House of pleasure.
Coach K knew how to coach a team. He knew what to do. He knew how to get the job done. And he knew what worked and what didn't. At Duke University, when he took over in 1980, he turned that program around. And I'm going to tell you this. Coach K, whether you like him or you don't like him, and I know there's a lot of people who don't like him, you got to respect the man for what he did in his coaching career. You got to respect for what he did at Duke University. He turned that program around. And he was one of the greatest coaches of all time. And everybody knew what worked at Duke and what didn't. And I'm going to be quite honest with you on this. It was a wonderful ride at Duke University with Coach K. And I'm going to tell you this. He's a great coach. He's a legend. He knew how to get the job done. He knew what worked. He knew what the issue was. It was always a great run and a great champion. You always knew Duke was going to be in contention at the end. So now, here's the $64,000 question. Who's taking over at Duke University? Who's next? It's going to be associate coach John Schrader. He's a former Duke player himself who moved to the bench 8 years ago. He got promoted to associate head coach in 2018. This is his first ever head coaching gig. Coach Schrader, I'm going to tell you something. You're going to have a lot of shoes to fill because you're taking over for a legend. He was the John Wooden of this era. He's the Bobby Knight of the ACC. And I'm going to tell you this. I kind of feel bad for Coach Schrader because he has to take over for a legend. However, Duke University knew what they were going to be doing. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to come right out and say it. I think Duke's going to be in really good shape despite the retirement of Coach K. I really do. All right. Let's move on. We got some major horse racing news. And I rarely talk about horse racing, but the Belmont Stakes is this weekend. Trainer Bob Baffert will not be at the Belmont this weekend. And also on the major headline, Bob Baffert has been given a 2-year ban by the Churchill Downs racetrack for Medina Spirit's failed drug test. And on speaking of Medina Spirit has failed his second drug test, which means he's facing disqualification. And Malduhan, who finished second in the Derby, may be declared the winner. This is not the way you want to win a race. But when you're seeing what's going on, you're thinking, what in the world are we? Malduhan's trainers are thinking, if we win this race, it's going to be bittersweet. It's a bittersweet moment in horse racing. Now, back to Bob Baffert, and I'm going to say this personally. Bob Baffert's career may have just taken a and right now, I'm very disappointed in him. Now, I understand one failed drug test, but when you have a horse fail a second one, and you're facing disqualification from the Derby, and now Baffert's been banned for 2 years from Churchill Downs. He cannot come back until the spring of 2023. Baffert's career is over. Baffert's going to be in a world of hurt. His Hall of Fame career may have just taken a hit, and it's a major one. I'm very disappointed in Mr. Baffert. I really am. The Belmont is tomorrow. I haven't given my pick yet for the Belmont Stakes, but I'm going to say this, and I know I shouldn't sound like this, but I'm actually glad we're not going to have a Triple Crown winner. Because this one, if Medina Spirit would have won, would have been allowed to keep the Triple Crown, everybody would be screaming foul or crying for an asterisk. I know I would be. And how disappointed I am in Bob Baffert. It's just sickening. And that's all I can say. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for my closing thoughts. As this weekend kicks off, you know the sports action is going to get red hot. The NBA playoffs are moving into the next round. We still have a couple of first round, at least one or two first round series that have yet to be decided. I'm going to say this as we get ready for the weekend. Enjoy it. It's going to get great. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a great weekend, I promise you. As it always is. But what a run we've had. And it's going to be fun to watch on this weekend. All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I want to thank you guys so much for being with me here on this day. But before I say goodbye, it's only appropriate that we close with this.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport. And the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. ABC's Wide World of Sport. Brought to you by Ford and your local Ford dealer, who invite you to see the 1983 Ford cars and trucks. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Midas, with over 1,200 Midas motor and quick shots. Trust the Midas done for any off-road report you need on your American-owned imported car. And by Honda portable generators for camping, hunting, boating, even charging your car battery.
Have a great day, everybody, and God bless. Goodbye, everybody, and I thank you.